Chair recognizes Mr. Gerdes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, SB 261 seeks to protect Texas consumers, uphold transparency in the food supply, and defend the integrity of the state's agriculture and ranching industries from the unregulated introduction of cell-cultured protein.
Mr. Speaker,
Ms. Goodwin, for what purpose?
I'd like to ask him some questions, but if you have more of your bill to lay out,
Does the gentleman yield for questions?
Not at this time.
okay.
Not at this time.
Of unregulated introduction of cell-cultured protein known as lab-grown meat products. The fact is, we do not fully understand how genetically engineered or lab-cultured cells interact with the cells in the human body. Beyond that, we also fully don't understand at a basic level what is in these products. This bill does not prohibit research or innovation of these products, just the sale within this state until September 1st of 2027. I also want to clear up some confusion. This bill doesn't have anything to do with veggie or plant-based products.
Mr. Speaker,
Ms. Goodwin, for what purpose?
will he yield for some questions?
Does the gentleman yield for questions?
Yes.
Gentleman yields for questions.
Thank you, Representative Gerdes. Is cell-cultured protein currently on the market here in Texas?
No.
Texas is the leading producer of livestock in the United States with over 12.2 million head of cattle and about 4 million of those being beef cattle. Is the goal of this bill aimed at protecting the beef industry?
The goal of this bill is to protect our agriculture industry. The opposition of this bill is in the long term, and it's been on the record from the president of the Good Foods Institute, to eradicate our agriculture industry.
Really, to eradicate?
To get rid of.
That seems far-fetched.
Yeah, you're telling me.
I believe that two things can exist at the same time,
Okay.
cattle and cell-cultured. Why are we passing an all-out ban versus measured regulation or consumer labeling requirements?
We aren't passing all-out ban. What we're doing with this 2-year prohibition of just selling it for human consumption. We're not prohibiting the innovation, the research, development, and all that some of the opposition is saying what we're doing. What we're saying is we're going to stop. We want to push pause for 2 years and look at what we need to do as a state for the regulatory framework that needs to be in place. Because right now, for this type of new food market, there is no regulatory framework in the state that's set up to deal with this.
So as it stands, would the industry be ready to put it on the market to sell it prior to that 2-year time frame?
That's up to the industry. What the intent of this bill is to make sure that the state is protecting its consumers with a regulatory framework that's set up to handle this new food market.
Well, instead of creating that framework, you're just saying it can't be sold. And
Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if they are, I don't know where they are in the process, if they're testing it and getting ready to market it, but now you're saying you can't market it for 2 years. And perhaps they'll be ready prior to that. Our state prides itself on technology and innovation. Are you concerned that this bill may have a negative impact on the biotechnology industry in Texas?
No.
Some may argue that the development and use of cell-cultured protein may help address some serious environmental concerns related to beef production. Are you aware that research indicates that cultivated meat could reduce greenhouse gas emissions by up to 92%? And reduce land use by up to 90% compared to conventional beef?
I think that our Texas agriculture industry is one of the backbones of Texas and our Texas way of life. And if this stuff, we're not saying never, but if they want to compete in Texas, it needs to be an equal playing field of regulatory climate and the regulatory burdens that our meat producers face, period.
So are you working on that regulatory framework?
I'm working to get this bill across the finish line, then we'll deal with that when we need to.
Is there a concern that cell-cultured protein is potentially injurious to health?
Yes.
How will this legislative change interact with federal regulations and oversight from agencies like the FDA?
Texas needs to decide what happens in Texas as far as our meat production.
Are there any anticipated legal challenges to this prohibition, and how does the bill address potential conflicts?
We'll
with
let that play out as it plays out. But right now, my job is to protect the folks of Texas and make sure that if things are coming to market, that there are safeguards in place to make sure it's safe for human consumption. We
So-
don't need our dinner plates being a scientific experiment.
So you don't believe that the FDA and federal laws are capable of doing that?
No.
What measures will be taken to enforce this prohibition, and what penalties are envisioned for violations?
Well, I'm sure you've read the bill. It's in the bill.
Could you spell them out for me?
It's clearly laid in the bill. Any other questions?
Okay. What is the Health and Human Services Commission's role in implementing this ban?
Well, well, right now there is zero framework for this, right? And so the ban to implement it will be through the Attorney General, I believe. It's a $1,000 fine for each infraction.
Total or per day?
For each infraction, for each one, not per day.
Does the bill criminalize possession of cell-cultured protein, even if it may have been lawfully acquired in another state or country?
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Does the bill criminalize possession of cell-cultured protein, even if it may have been lawfully purchased in another state or country?
The offering of sale or sale of cell-cultured protein for human consumption within this state is unlawful and prohibited.
So if someone legally purchases cell-cultured meat in another state or country, they could face legal penalties simply for possessing it in Texas.
The bill doesn't address that.
I think it may, but
Oh, well, okay. It just says the offering, a prohibited act. The offering for sale or sale of cell-cultured protein for human consumption within this state is unlawful and prohibited.
all right. Thank you, Representative.
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Wu, for what purpose?
Mr. Speaker.